So we're back on a Friday, having had the wood chipping done, and what a difference that makes. This whole space in the centre was just unusable wood chips, and now it's massively out there. So in some ways it's kind of a shame I planted the trees where I did, because I could probably fit another 2 rows along here. So it makes me wonder, do I want to do another couple of rows of fruit trees? As you can see, I've got an absolute pile of wood chips to use to build my trails, which is going to be something I start this weekend, I think. I decided to not pick up any more fencing supplies, but we'll see how we go. So I think these were the pieces that were unchippable, but they are of a size that I can chainsaw those up for a decent amount of wood, I think. Have a look at our standard orchard tour. Looks like things have really come along nicely. Our apple tree starting to get some colour around the edges. And then look at all the flowers coming out here. It's looking great. And then equally more flowers on this one. And along here. And yeah, we've definitely got a bit of a problematic one there. Although at the top we've got a couple of purchases, but all the way up here, it's looking great. And then finally, just at the top, we've got our really nice pink blossoms. And then on the other row, this is looking great. I really like the pink, to the point I'm tempted to get a few more. We've got some growth down there, still very low. This one's looking fantastic as always. Is it weird to be proud of a tree? It seems a little bit weird. This one's definitely not doing great down there. And this is a bit more squat and sort of spreading outwards, which is a bit odd, but it's okay. Starting to get leaves in our blueberries. This is really beginning to spread, which is great. These blueberries are looking a bit better. I don't know if they're in a slightly better position than the others. Maybe they get a bit better weather. This is looking awesome. And then our final apple tree. Also looking good. And I'd say this weeping willow is looking really good. And you can't smell it, but the wood chips here are pretty fantastic. And that's probably double the amount I had before, which is quite nice. And you can see the green is starting to really pick up in places. Been working with my Claude AI agent for this space here between the 2 rows of trees. It told me I was crazy for considering more fruit trees, because its point is in another 4 years I'm going to have more fruit than I know what to do with. So it's proposed more of a berry line along the centre, with a few other things to just help the soil. And then in the next couple of weeks, depending on delivery, get some comfrey down for each of the main trees and use the individual comfrey will grow, and then you can just cut it up and it's non-spreading. So we can create a ring around each of the trees, which will really help with some of the minerals, and then sow white clover across that central point as well. So try and push some of the grass out with clover, which we did try last year with the red clover. But I'm hoping now we've got less sticks and brackish and everything else in the way. If we rake that up properly and sow the clover, we'll get a really nice essentially mini food forest building there. So then we've got the orchard in that section as a food forest, and then separately we've got our grow boxes here as a structured area, and then the main living quarters become here as we've got this fenced in, each of those separated out a little bit by trees and grass and shrubs and everything else. And then further out the back you've got the Grillhus, and then this area itself is kind of done. Once all of that's there, we've got everything in quite a good state, and it's just time for it to establish and everything else, and then in a year or two build the cabin up on top, and then potentially the caravan can go, or move further down to one of the other locations, sort of preempt where the yurt's going to be. So yeah, it's kind of weird to be thinking this long term about property. It's not something I've ever done before. I've moved, I've lived in 20 something houses in 40 something years. So yeah, a long-term eco planning is a weird feeling, but I like it. So we've got some good growth on the onions, looking quite healthy there, which is nice in a few spots. So that's really good news. You can see some spikes out there. Our strawberries are also beginning to thrive. They're really beginning to grow up there, which is good to see. And we've got nothing to see in the spring onions yet, as you'd expect. So we've got a bit of fencing work going. Need to trim the tops of these, but with some old stakes I started just doing some simple edge framing of the corner pieces, so that will hopefully give them a bit of stability when the wire gets run, which will be good. And then so it goes round, so I need to pick up some more of these smaller ones, or maybe something better for the other pieces, but it seemed worth using those stakes because I'm not going to use them anywhere else, to give us stability. So we'll trim and nail those in a bit later, and then that's probably that done for the weekend. That's the top three framed now, and the cardboard tubing for the concrete removed. I may have ever so slightly misjudged how deep the concrete was compared to the rest. So we've got 6 inches there maybe, but with the framing it's pretty solid. And then this one's not great. This one may be the weak point in my defence, if this fence is a defence, as that's probably a foot of concrete sticking out of the ground, which is not my finest work. But also we've got the main bracing there, this, and then just over there, so it's not ever going to be a huge piece. So hopefully that won't matter so much. But I'm going to go remove the bottom two cardboard tubings. It's a way easier job with an articulating saw. It just goes straight through. Get those two out of the way, see how they look. And yeah, probably try and pick up the fencing pieces to make a good go of it next weekend when we've got the long weekend. So if I come back and I can finish the framing, so I need another another 6 smaller fence posts, and then I'll pick up sort of 15 or 20 others and some wire and just see how that goes. That's not nearly enough to finish, but it will tell me if there's any problems without spending too much money. Well, that's the plan. And then we've got the bottom two removed from here, which are okay. First, still got a fairly reasonable chunk sticking out the ground, but number 2 over there, that's my pride and joy. It's almost entirely sunk, so that's going nowhere. Which is ironic because that might be the one we actually want to move when we build the cabin, because we might just want to go all the way around, which would be kind of hilarious and kind of par for the course with the combination of planning and no planning that's going on. So laying the groundwork for the path, I do not have the energy, machinery or desire to really level this out, so it's going to remain a bit of a bumpy path, but between this and then the wood chips on top of it, it should be a bit more stable to walk along. Should be good. Just need to finish off this with one of the trailers. I'm rapidly running out of the camping hooks I've been using to pin this down, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do the grill house as well, which is a bit of a shame, but if I can get this one done, that'll be good. I'll see how much of the wood chips will remain. I'm not sure if he's helping or hurting at this point. You alright, buddy? And there's our pathway. So I've got a little tiny bit to cover up just here in the corner, and then we have someone helping by keeping it flat, and then goes all the way down, so this will stabilise as things under it die off. And then into the grow boxes. So I have a nice run up with a nice little curve to it, which just makes it a bit more interesting to look at rather than too many straight lines. And then, yeah, we'll take a go at this after lunch, see how it goes. It's not very exciting, but there's our first barrel load. So that, it's got a few remaining to do, but then we'll be having a nice little pathway. So we probably need one or two more barrel loads scattered down, but broadly speaking the pathway is done. Don't have enough to properly do the composting, but otherwise I think it's looking good and a lot less difficult to walk down. And that's done for the weekend. So we've added an extra couple of loads, just a bit to hold down that small bit of canvas, and it snakes around, so it's reasonably level now. Going to give it a couple of weeks to just settle in, let the edges flatten out with the grass, and then I can do a sort of top up into there. So then next weekend make a start on the one up to the Grillhus up there, and then yeah, if I've got space, expand around the pond probably. And here is the outline of the pathway up to the Grillhus. So probably need a couple more rocks on there. I'm actually wondering about, next time I got the chainsaw out, chopping down a couple of these longer trees into straighter pieces and just using it for like an edge framing, just because I think that might be quite nice. And then yeah, we'll need 12 or so buckets to go down there, and we'll have a nice walkway up to where the grill house is, and then finishing at the tree stump here, and we can extend or figure out where the connection is going to go once the grill house is built. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Fence planning is going well. Almost all the sides are now strung, so we can see where the fence will lay, which is pretty good. So then we've got the other points. This is the side that hasn't been done yet because I ran out of string, but basically we can use that as our marker point. So I reckon probably 2 down the bottom 4 or 5 along here, maybe 3 here just for security, a couple along there, a couple along the back. So 20 might actually make us a decent dent in this, which would be good. I think this area is going to be tough. Aside from the growth, there's already quite a lot of like up and down along there. This area should be pretty easy. A little bit harder going there, and there will at some point be a gate here. I'm going to try and lay the last of the canvas down so I can see where the gate might go, so I don't get in the way of that. But yeah, going to go do a few overlays or dumps of more soil, not soil, wood chips. Wood piles are slowly growing. Got a bit more over under there. Making headway with those, but I need to change the battery over, and the rain is almost certainly coming in a minute. So I'm going to put the gear away. But yeah, not a bad couple of days up here. Next weekend, long weekend sort of. So see if we can make some progress with the fencing next weekend. Get this walkway up done, which I think will look great. And then, yeah, see where we are. Speaking of wood piles, this is what we have left from the chipping, which is a huge amount of wood that is, in most cases, way too busy to, or way too big to move. Like that side piece, I don't think I can even get my chainsaw to go through that. It's been a nightmare. So not quite sure what this will end up being, but potentially if it dries out over the summer it'll be a bit easier, because right now it's quite waterlogged. And as prep for the coming bank holiday, there are 18 long poles and 6 framing poles ready to pile up.